In this video, I'm going to walk through a project roadmap that I developed originally in Excel. I've translated it now to Google Sheets and used it with a lot of success throughout my career at various companies of different sizes on multiple types of projects with a lot of success. And I'm going to go through what it's like to maintain this, build this, why would you use it, when would you use it, and we'll talk about then we'll just do it live. I will build it out in front of you. I'm going to share my screen here and we'll just dive into it. Forewarning, if you like really well rehearsed presentations, this is probably not it. Uh, I've already taken the liberty of updating some of the dates. So I'll know that you will know that this will go a bit more smoothly than usual. If I had, if this was outdated to like a prior year, for example, but we'll just imagine this is a blank template and walk through how I use it and what it looks like. So, uh, we have, in this case, there's like four primary rows here in different colors. And you could associate these to different projects. In this case, the header for this column is goal. You could change that easily to say project or whatever fits your needs. And the next column we have is strategy. And so in this case, if we start to expand some of these rows here in these group columns, we can think about how we want to populate this. And one example could be, let's say we have a project to do a data migration, for example. And so in the goal section of the first row, we'll write data migration. All right, migration. There we are. And then one of the first key components of this project could be determining which tables to migrate. After we know which tables to migrate, maybe we actually want to execute maybe that ETL process or that load from one database to another. We might want to verify that the data transfer actually happened as expected. And then finally, the last step of this goal or this project will be the decommissioning of the original database, for example. And you'll see that there's another collapsible section here, and that's related to key actions and milestones. And I think this becomes particularly useful if you think about the RACI matrix framework, where you think about who's responsible for getting something done, who's accountable, etc. So in this case, maybe the individual team members are going to have specific deliverables that are going to be tied to dates. And so in this case, one of the first activities might be to take an inventory of the existing tables, review that list or that inventory with the department chair, department head, VP, etc. And then that last thing that's required is obtaining that sign off. And let's say that's from the VP. Now, what's helpful here is a team member can come in and let's say we assign a champion for that individual, right? And so like let's assign myself, maybe John's the VP. And so I can come in here, I could filter by my name and know exactly what I'm accountable for completing. Or as other individuals, we can see who's responsible for what at the line level. And then as we roll this up, who's responsible for getting that milestone complete? Well, maybe that's John because he has the most onus to that. And as we roll that up, we can see that this particular portion of the project is assigned to John. He's directly responsible for the execution of that phase of the project. And then our final champion for the overall data migration might be Sarah, for example. And so if we have multiple stakeholders for each project, maybe data migration is Sarah, maybe we have another parallel project going on within another department or within the same department to release a new feature to our iOS devices. Maybe there's some annual planning that needs to happen within another department. We can create an aggregated view here of all the activities going on and assign different individuals again so they can filter or just really get a good idea of like what's going on. So I'll just do the first kind of three here. And this, what's neat about this color coding is that as you pan your eyes to the right and you see all of these dates. There's a bit of a calendar view here. And what you'll notice when we start adding dates here is you'll get a Gantt chart type view. What I've done already, since we're towards the end of 2024 here already, well, I shouldn't say end, but August, is that I have some conditional formatting in here that this gray bar just kind of slowly moves to the right as the dates progress and starts to hide some of these milestones, so individuals get a good idea of where we are in the project, where we are in the calendar. And then it's just super easy just to collapse that down. So you still have the historical knowledge if you need it, or you can just collapse it down, take a quick screenshot, throw it into an email, and fire off a weekly update email. I would recommend updating something like this or any roadmap probably on a weekly basis. You probably have a weekly team meeting, for example, depending on how the priority of the project, for example. So you can just go in there and update this on a regular basis. The most friction, most time required here, investment, is really to set up this document after you pre-populate it. And it's really just a ongoing key messages, risk and issues, what's the update from the team, et cetera, that can go in here, and any dates that need to move. So as we populate this, let's stay on the data migration, for example, and we can open and collapse. If we stay in the determining which tables to migrate, as we pan to the right, you can see RAG. RAG is that red, amber, green status. I've added a comment here for folks who maybe are new to the project or unfamiliar with what RAG status stands for, and helps paint a good picture here of what the current status is of the project. And I like to have that historical knowledge to be able to tell folks what's going on. Always learn from history, learn from our estimates, as long as we have that historical record keeping, for example. So here, let's start changing some of these statuses. Let's say that the data migration is actually an amber status. It's been amber status for at least a week now because of the prior as well. And that's largely because the determining which tables to migrate is actually at risk. Last week, it was actually green. Things were trending well. And that's because Ryan, completed the uh, inventory. We know what tables needed to be collected, but what ended up happening was the VP. Ryan has been able to get a hold of that VP, right? Maybe the VP is out sick unexpectedly. So we're going to say over here in the risk section, John is out sick. We're unclear when he's going to get back, and uh, so at the line level here, review with VP, we can see John's out sick. But if we collapse that milestone, we kind of lose that update, right? And depending on the severity of that issue and its impact on the overall project, any risk mitigation plans we might have in place, maybe that's not worth bubbling up at, say, the executive level. If the executive only has 5 minutes to review the project status here, the totally collapsed view doesn't even talk about John. Maybe that's not important to him, but maybe there's someone else at this level. And so what we can do is we can bubble this John is out sick up one more level from that collapsed view. And now we can see the reason why this is at an amber status and not project's not perfect. It's not on track. It's not trending green, is that it's because John's out sick. In this case, John is also the champion of this milestone. Maybe at the top, a good key message just to understand what's going on here is the purpose of this project is that it is a uh, cost savings project. And so what we'll do here is we'll say cost savings project. And then because Ryan completed this milestone, it might be worth saying we completed the table inventory. Maybe on our weekly update, we determined that there were 30 tables that need to be migrated. So what we can see here is just this really nice collapsible level of specificity, based on whatever our requirements are at the time. Stepping back a column here, we have phase, and I like to include this primarily in my software development projects, but you can simply just remove this or delete this column as needed. But in this case, determining which tables to work on, if we're thinking about the linear fashion here, review with VP, maybe the project's in a user acceptance testing style phase. And so we'll say the review is in UAT, which bubbles up to the milestone level project, and we'll say the project is currently in a UAT phase. Actually, that doesn't make sense if we still have execution to go here. So maybe we'll actually pull that back to requirements because I would say that determining which tables to migrate, this milestone here is more associated with requirements. Then we have the actual development or execution phase of the project. Verifying data transfers, probably QA and mixture of UAT, and then decommissions that final kind of wrap up stage. So now we have a better sense of where the project's at. Let's see. And then maybe we're finding out that the key risk to this project is that any delays, maybe we're on a subscription basis, for example, for our particular data warehouse, and a delay in migration will cost, let's say, 30K per month, right? So we really don't want this to be delayed, and so in cascading our RAG status here, a lot of these downstream things are at risk. We could say, or potentially maybe part of our risk mitigation plan is that we have set aside an extra month or two, let's say, of funds to anticipate a delay in the migration. But maybe we don't have that kind of money and we really want to put some eyeballs on this. And one great way to do that is flag this as red in the RAG status. That red really pops off the page for any eyeballs that need to look at this. So we have a few updates here. This is all well and good, but like, what does it mean? How do we tie this into the calendar? That therein lies these dates here. And I like to add a very simple formula here for min and max date of any of the roll up milestones. So what's nice about this is, like I said, as soon as you start putting in the upfront work here, it all starts to take care of itself because what this formula is doing is it's rolling up any of the milestones in here to automatically determine how long this milestone is going to take. And then the total project is also then rolled up at the project level view and it all appears on the right in the calendar view. So what does that look like? Let's say this taking inventory started on the 2nd, and it's gonna last until, uh, let's say it actually takes a week, right? And in the cascading fashion of this project, I can't review with the VP until I've taken inventory. So let's say the inventory, the review was supposed to start this week, and it would take a week, something to that effect. And then final sign off wasn't going to take that long. Let's just say we wanted to get that done by the end of the month, right? 8:30. And so what you can see here is where the most time is taking place. Oh, we don't let's see. Yeah. Okay. So we have how the work is kind of cascading out, taking effect, and then how the dates rolled up to show us a broader view of the project overall. I like to include an original start date here. So it's super easy just to copy and paste these over from column to column, just to have that continuity, that history of the project. And maybe as we were getting those weekly updates, John being out sick, that actually pushed out some dates, right? And so maybe that review with the VP, we have already listed it at risk. Maybe let's just bump this back a week to say, ooh, that really set us back, right? So instantly with that quick decision, maybe that happened in a status update. We all those changes are now appearing visually here in our Gantt chart. And then one thing that might set off your spidey sense here is going, oh, these things look like they can't happen in parallel. We know that we can't review and obtain sign off that quickly. Maybe we should, this is just kind of a demo. So we'll just say these things shouldn't take place quite like that. So what we might want to do is actually write a formula that says we know that this subsequent process is going to take at least another 5 days for whenever the above thing is completed. And this activity is going to take an extra two, the total activity. This is very similar to like Microsoft Project, for example, right? Now we can see this cascading effect happening in real time, the overall milestone of the project extending out the entire length of time here, and then the overall project length also extending out. So now let's build out the next major milestone, which is execution. And let's say execution, I'm responsible for that. Maybe I need to write some stored procedures. Maybe I need to perform a backup. And uh, I'll do both those things just here for simplicity. And I can't do those till the above activities are complete. And it's going to take me, let's say, a week to write that. Or I'm not going to get started for a week, and then it's going to take me a week to write that, for example. And all those get updated. That backup, that's going to be an overnight process. So we'll just take the above finish date and add a day. There we go. And now you can see how the overall project extended. We know that the reason for this extension is related to these activities here, which are all roll up to execution. So we can start seeing that cascading effect, and it's all being pre-built for us nice and neatly. I'll copy those over to the original date for continuity. And then data transfer, let's say that's going to happen. Eddie's going to do that, and that's going to actually be delayed till the end of the month. Let's say 925, 10/1, copy those over. And then the final decommission is going to take all of October. That's actually kind of sad if it happens. What has to happen for the decommission? Maybe we have to finalize a contract, complete that, and then sunset the actual original database. Maybe I'm responsible for that, but um, Mike's going to take these activities. And so these activities will start in October. Copy these over. Now we've built out an entire project using my, Google Sheets. We can see this Gantt chart that's dynamically updating. We can see this gray bar moving across as we move through the calendar and see where should an activity have been started already? Is it about to start? Is it past due? And then it's as simple as just recollapsing these to get a different snapshot depending on who you're talking to. And then maybe I just want to talk to an exec at a steering committee meeting, and I can just screenshot this and shoot that off. It works really well to summarize succinctly what's going on in a project, where things are going well, where they're not going well, and it's all for free in Google Sheets. If you like this and you think I can help you, my contact information is in the description below. Thank you for your time.